Hello and welcome to another episode of The Frontier. Today, we bring you an essential conversation at the crossroads of enterprise technology, artificial intelligence, and cloud transformation. A landscape which is evolving at breakneck speed. In boardrooms across Asia, the question is no longer whether to adopt AI, but how fast and how deep. As we inch toward an era of agentic AI, where autonomous agents can reason, plan, and act, infrastructure needs will also change fast. India, with its unique digital public stack and vibrant startup ecosystem, is at an inflection point as well. But are legacy enterprises keeping pace? Is the AI race here being driven by vision or hype? And as demand for compute explodes, can we scale sustainably? Joining us today on The Frontier is Mitesh Agarwal, the Managing Director for Technology and Architecture at Google Cloud Asia Pacific, someone who is at the nerve center of this transformation as organizations worldwide race to embed AI into every layer of business. Few are better positioned than Mitesh to tell us what are the emerging trends and where we are headed. Mitesh, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for your time.
Awesome to be here. Great to meet you, Prashant. And it's going to be a great conversation today.
Absolutely. Look forward, Mitesh. So let's dive straight in, right? Uh, so there's world before, I think, late 2022, which is the Chat GPT moment, and the world after. Am I kind of sort of overdoing it in that sense, or am I sort of underplaying it? I just want to get a sense of, we're a few years in, 3 years into that moment now. Uh, has the transformation and the pace at which the transformation happened picked up substantially?
I think the simple answer is yes, right? There is absolutely no doubt. But I would also say that, the pace and rate of change that you will see now, and we have seen, is unprecedented. What used to take uh, maybe a few months has now compressed into a few weeks. What used to take a few weeks, now is in days. And I always say anything that I tell you today is likely to change, right? And you will see something better, faster, cheaper at scale every single day. And I think all of that is foundationally because of the way AI is operated.
What is the pace of sort of AI adoption now? I mean, can we put numbers to it in terms of large enterprises? And I mean generative AI, right?
Absolutely. So if you look at enterprise generative AI, I think the primary thing is that it's moved from experimentation to execution. What I mean is that if you really look at it, the phase of exploring what AI can do is over. The focus really that enterprises are doing is they're saying, where can we apply it at scale and how fast? And more importantly, what I've seen, Prashant, is that look, AI has moved from the edge to the core. We are no more doing it as just systems of record, it's systems of insight. One good insight in terms of numbers, because you asked that, right, is 85,000 plus enterprises are building with Gemini, which is Google's AI platform. We've seen a 35x year on year increase in usage, right? And you will find that Google Cloud, which is the part that I work in, right, it's an enterprise ready AI platform of choice. And we're not talking about a future ambition, but really, in my mind, a present reality. And we've seen financial momentum, we've seen explosive customer adoption. And this is across industries, across enterprises, large enterprises. And if you just look at some numbers, Vertex AI, which is the platform for organizations to adopt AI, we've seen 5x increase in enterprise customers. And we've seen 40x increase in usage. And if you look at our AI infrastructure compute demand, it's seen 900% growth in TPUs and GPUs using our Google Kubernetes engine over the last 12 months. So I'm not seeing this as just early indicators. This is, in my mind, a system level deployment. And there's lots of market validation, Prashant, here. So, for example, there's research by Nesta that shows that multimodal AI, which means use cases that involve text, image, video, audio, 3D, and so on and so forth, that is going to grow from 2.4 billion in 2025 to almost 100 billion in 2037. And multimodal matters. As you know, India is a country that literally leapfrogs a lot of things. There's languages, there's dialect, and Gen AI aligns with how the real data flows. So we've seen a number of Indian organizations, and there's a very interesting Adobe Digital Trends report that shows that 23% of Indian organizations report ROI from Gen AI. And just to let you know, the global average is 12%. So that is 2x better than the global overall average that you see. So we've seen this as a massive, massive increase.
That's very interesting. I mean, as you said, India does leapfrog in many areas. It has in the past, and maybe this one too. Mitesh, could you give us a sense of the most immediate benefits that have been felt by sort of developers? For example, we hear that foundation models are becoming highly skilled at coding tasks. That 70 to 80% of software engineers are now using AI coding assistants, resulting in big reduction in development time. Can you talk us through this?
It's a great point. I think that developer productivity is perhaps Gen AI's first and fastest impact. The stat that you said, 70 to 80% of software engineers now use AI coding assistants, it actually reflects a mainstream adoption. So it's no more on the side. I'll give you another interesting stat. 7 million developers are building with Gemini. This is a 5x increase just in the last 12 months. And this shift is beyond auto completion of code. Because what happens is developers can now generate full stack applications from a single prompt. And you use Gemini 2.5 Pro in AI Studio or Firebase Studio. We demonstrated this in Google I/O that just concluded a few days back. Not just this, what this means is it reduces time to deploy, consistency of code, enhances onboarding, and so on. I'll give you an example. Wipro Technologies is the largest adopter of Gemini Code Assist across its global teams.
Okay.
They've reported some amazing outcomes. So if you see, they've reported higher code quality through real-time insights. They've gone ahead and reported efficient internal development cycles, scalable practices across distributed teams, given that they have a globally distributed team. And we all know that India is a strategic developer hub. So India is Google's second largest developer ecosystem. And there is an open source technology called Gemma, an open source multilingual model that supports 140 plus languages, including 6 Indian languages. And this enables local developers to build culturally relevant and high impact applications. And we've seen the economic effect of this. In India alone, in 2024, we reported a $47 billion revenue impact thanks to Android's ecosystems. And this created 3.5 million jobs across the economy. The bottom line, Prashant, is that generative AI has moved from code assistant to really redefining software creation.
That's very interesting to see, and we'll talk about some of the impact of this on businesses, etc., as you see it in a bit, Mitesh. But let's come to the other thing, right? I mean, AI is yesterday's story. We're talking about agentic AI now, and it's going to be the big thing which will hit us, maybe as some have said. I saw this talk given by Eric Schmidt, where he said, well, it's going to come in a big way next year. In what ways does it fundamentally differ from traditional and generative AI systems in terms of autonomy and real-world enterprise impact?
It's a great point. And if you really look at it, Google is not just a participant in this whole AI revolution, right? Like what we're doing is we're foundationally architecting the next chapter with agentic AI. And if you really look at it, this leadership is not built on a foundation of just superior, differentiated end-to-end technology. It's also because we have custom silicon like the TPU V7 that we've put, where we are able to get an entire stack that's built on purpose-built agentic platforms like Agent Space. So if you really look at it foundationally, what does this mean, right? Now, agentic AI is a clear break from traditional and generative systems. What it does beyond prediction or beyond generation. It understands goals, it plans actions, it executes across systems with minimal human input. Sounds a little bit like science fiction and also sounds like a lot of the promises from the past. However, think of the difference. Imagine today we use generative AI models to draft an email. However, what if an agent can go ahead and book an entire business trip end to end? I'm sure, many of us, we are on the plane all the time. We want someone to go ahead and do this job efficiently by just writing a simple prompt. And what we've seen the market do here, Prashant, is that we are not just forecasting some inflection. We think that this is in it now. And many, Futurists have said like this is the year of agentic AI, and we've seen this play right from the beginning of January this year. We've seen a 15x increase in generative AI agent usage across our platform. We've seen enterprise conversations have shifted from chatbots to very domain specific agents. We've seen it move from experimentation to automating code processes. I'll give you an example. Apollo Hospitals in India, they're using a clinical agent built on our platform to assist doctors in real time consultations. We've seen Federal Bank deploy Fedi, which is their agent, and it handles today 1.4 million plus customer queries annually. And this is with very, very high accuracy. And it has reduced their customer care costs. They've reported this by 50%. So what has happened is that we have now started architecting our infrastructure for agent native workloads. So we have technologies like Google Agent Space, which combines enterprise search, which does reasoning using Gemini. And more importantly, we have a very secure data access to let employees complete multiple step tasks from one prompt. And not just that, Google invented something called A2A, which is a protocol that enables collaboration across agents. What this means is you could write your own agent, you could take agents from 50 plus of our partners, Salesforce, SAP, ServiceNow, or you could go ahead and use Google's native agents. What we've essentially done, Prashant, is that we've gone ahead and dismantled the whole app and data silos that existed in enterprise systems in a very, very long time. And we believe that the whole reasoning,
Yeah.
planning, execution part is really going to, accelerate the whole agentic adoption.
That Federal Bank example you gave, right? But those chatbots have all existed for a long time. I mean, so does this do that job much better now, more directed, more focused? I mean, how is it different?
Great question. Chatbots have existed for a long time, but could they just complete the entire task or just go out there and give you information based on what's there in the knowledge repository? Think about it. I don't know if you know of anybody who's loved talking to a call center and enjoyed talking to a call center agent, right? So, what if you could go ahead and completely change these interactions and actually do the end to end transaction rather than repeating this all over again? And that is what Federal Bank has done. And that has meant a increase in customer satisfaction, actually completing the entire task, and then actually seeing a reduction in operational costs because of the customer care costs going down by 50%. So this is real. This is not just experimentation. This is in production. They see the benefits for their customers and they see the benefits for their own business in terms of operational efficiency.
I got that. So are we at an inflection? I mean, you said this is the year. I thought it's next year, but you're saying this is the year where
This is
it'll okay. Are we going to see like a moment where suddenly it'll be all over? Is there going to be like a marker which tells us, or it's really going to take hold in a big way?
Think about it, right? Like it's like how a waterfall typically works. Usually, it flows through a sliver and then zoom down, right? Like, and you won't realize it. And we think we are at that moment because enterprises for a very long time have started thinking, what would they really use that is useful for their environment? They have a lot of legacy applications. You just can't rewrite every application. You can't rewrite every core banking system, every telco system, every CRM system. So they want a better way, right, to go ahead and access these applications in a conversational environment, in a multimodal environment. And that is the combination of Gen AI and agentic that really helps them massively change their workflows.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But this has to be deployed, right? I mean, in organizations. I mean, it's and is that easy? Is that challenging? Is that could you give us some examples?
To give you some examples, like let me kind of give this a slightly different way, right? Today, what is the biggest issue? The biggest issue is that you don't know how to integrate an agentic AI with a complex enterprise environment, right? So the value of the agent then depends purely on integration points. How secure is it? How reliable is it? How can I connect it with heterogeneous mix of systems, right? So one of the things that we've done is that we've tried to go ahead and build connectors into all the legacy databases, ERP systems, Salesforce, SAP, and we've given them thousands of custom apps, hundreds of pre-built connectors, And we've then invented this new protocol called agent to agent that I spoke to you about. And we've made it an open industry standard. One of the things that you will see about Google always that we'll go ahead, invent a technology and then open source it because that is the best way to, go ahead and distribute it. The other interesting part is you don't need to necessarily take everything to the cloud. For example, you could have a lot of, you know, sensitive government applications that you don't want to move to the cloud. You don't want to, move that data. So we have a technology called Google Distributed Cloud where you can go ahead and put this inside an instance in your environment, right? So we've gone ahead and really thought through this. We've then collaborated with system integrators like Accenture, Deloitte, TCS, Wipro, right? And therefore, we have a fundamental shift in many, many examples. I'll give you a few examples if you want, right? HDFC Ergo in insurance. What they've gone ahead is that they've launched two insurance super apps on Google Cloud, and they've integrated 300 plus internal services. What's the result? 4.5 million additional downloads in 6 months, purely driven by all of the Vertex AI powered customer nudges that they do today. There are examples in manufacturing. Mahindra Group is a great example where we are applying AI across R&D, energy optimization, customer experience, all of it. And imagine embedding AI into the industrial value chain and not just back office. I gave you the example of healthcare. Another example is in airline. So if you look at Indigo's, 6C Ask AI, that's a chatbot on WhatsApp. Interestingly, it's not even on a different surface. That's powered by Google's LLMs. And that has meant that the customer service load has gone down by 75% for them. Airtel, for example, is leveraging generative AI across mobile, broadband, and TV to reshape user experience. I already spoke about Fedi from a federal bank perspective. So we are seeing real use cases go into deployment and production.
Well, it's a very interesting conversation, but we just sort of covered a small part. There's a lot more. Have to take a quick commercial break here. Coming right back with Mitesh on the other side. Welcome back. You're with me here on another episode of The Frontier. We're in conversation with Mitesh Agarwal of Google Cloud, and we're talking about enterprise technology, artificial intelligence, and cloud transformation. In the at least with me, till a few years back, I used to get a chatbot, and I actually used to avoid it. And I said, well, let me talk to a real person to solve the problem. But because they were not good, but maybe they are now very different, as you described, right? In many of these instances, and they can sort of handle things end to end, and you don't eventually have to then talk to somebody in that sense. Now, Mitesh, as enterprises navigate between sort of building their own models and using foundation models from players like you, how's that shaping up? I mean, what's the split like right now, and what will define competitive advantage over the next couple of years?
I think, Prashant, to be perfectly candid, I think the build versus buy narrative is a little outdated.
Okay.
Right? I think that, the enterprises that will win will really combine all of the proprietary models, open source models, partner models. They'll build their own models and they will just ground them in proprietary data. So frankly, I feel that, your proprietary data, your process is going to be the differentiator. And you can already see that with API access across the board, right? In my mind, there are three pillars of AI advantage, to your question. The first is, do you have access to a portfolio of state-of-the-art foundation models? So whether it's Google's Gemini model, or there are open source models from Meta, or there are third-party models across the board, do you have access to it? And what we've done at Google is, via Vertex AI, you have access to 200 plus models, and you don't have to worry about access to the model. So democratizing access is, I think, going to be a big pillar of AI advantage. The second is, how do you get flexibility from open models? So you will find here the Gemma 3, for example, which is our open source model today, is enabling fine tuning, and it's a lightweight deployment. You can deploy it on mobiles, on a mobile first thing. It needs less than 2 gig of RAM, for example, right? And what we've done is 3 of the 4 startups in the India AI mission today, you might not know this, are building on Gemma, which is the open source version of Gemini. The third part is grounding models in proprietary data and business logic is a big, big differentiator. So think of it this way: models are the engine, data is the fuel, and business context is the map. That's how you would go about, navigating these things. And one big differentiator from a Google perspective is that we bring AI to your data. We don't take data to the AI. Right? And that is a foundationally different way of looking at this.
No, absolutely. Now, given agentic AI's ability to adapt and learn in real time, uh, just talk to us about integration problems with existing cloud infrastructure, legacy enterprise systems. I think we did speak about some of it, but in the Indian context, are people coming around quickly? Is this happening in a fast-paced way?
I think this is the fastest growth that we are seeing,
Okay.
right? 15x growth, right, in 6 months, right? So what we've done, the 2 parts that we've addressed very granularly is security and governance. So if you see the whole autonomous agents, that get deployed, the biggest issue with any enterprise is that they want enterprise grade trust, what they call a zero trust environment, right? So what we've done fundamentally is given them granular role based access controls. We've said encryption with customer managed keys is default, data residency and compliance. We've given them automated sensitive data scanning, right? So all of this ensures that agents operate in a very safe, regulated environment, and that gives them a big peace of mind, right? What we see is in India, all of these challenges are very real, but they're also very solvable because we have a combination of open, interoperable architecture. We've given them a hybrid cloud deployment environment. We've given them enterprise grade security, and we've given them the ecosystem of partnerships out of the box, as I said, 100 plus connectors from all of the big partners that they are used to. So we are seeing some amazing deployment and adoption there, Prashant.
So India, I mean, adoption is really running very, very well. Uh, so we're on par with other APAC markets because you have a bird's eye view, and across sort of cutting edge cloud architectures.
Absolutely. Uh, you know, if you actually look at what India is doing today, it's leapfrogging in a very, very different way. I gave you that stat around how there are 23% adoption in
Yes.
India and ROI in India compared to rest of the world at 12%. So if I compare Asia as a market, right, all of these markets are very, very different, right? Uh, what India has done is it's not just keeping pace, right? It's trying to set the bar. To give you an example, right? If you really look at the maturity of use cases that I've seen from India, Mahindra Group is reinventing industrial ops. Apollo Hospitals is deploying real time bedside decision support systems. HDFC Ergo is building full stack digital ecosystems. A very good example is a completely new AI based phone that Glance recently, went out there. As you know, InMobi and Glance, they're a big, big startup. India's first unicorn was InMobi. They went out there and did that. There's a huge, strong momentum to build the whole Make in India AI stack, and the collaboration that we have with the India AI mission and IIT Bombay to train foundational models in Indian languages that are using Gemma. And all of this reflects an intent to not just build capability, but also consume it. The other part is that India leads in architectural leadership because of our services ecosystem that we have deep, deep expertise in. So you will find that there are lots of global markets where it's the Indian SIs that are taking the capability too as well.
Okay.
And this, Prashant, very clearly is the flywheel. So as soon as we are able to give them this world-class public infrastructure, you alluded when you opened the show and spoke about the digital public infrastructure, which
Yeah.
is UPI, Aadhaar, and so on. Add that to the skilled developer base, it's magic. It's absolute magic.
For I said this earlier that we'll come to this later. For we speak with Indian IT services companies, right? And you gave the example of Wipro, and we always ask them that you're essentially delivering a lot more to your clients that with lesser people, quicker, lower costs, right? Eventually, the client is essentially going to ask you for that for lower pricing, right? So that question is are all these technologies in that sense going to be deflationary? Mitesh, quickly, you want to answer that?
My view is that, I'm not a services expert here,
Yeah.
but my view is that you can do more with less.
Mm,
The point here is that, the savings that you will get thanks to generative AI, the operational efficiencies that you will get,
mm,
means you can now have more budgets available to deliver innovation,
yeah.
right? And that is where I think Indian SIs are already playing a huge role across the board. And we have partnerships with all of them.
Mm,
We have integrations with all of them. And agent space is one of those opportunities, Prashant, that is massive. Think about it this way: every 15 to 20 years, there is an opportunity to change the surface in the way you access technology. 25 years back, it was a browser. Then it became a mobile surface. There isn't really been a surface after that that is very different. And we think that agent space is going to be that next surface that people are going to use. And that is the conversational and interface surface. So think about it: inside your own organization and any organization, we still go to an intranet portal.
mm,
So, what is that future surface going to look like?
mm,
That is where Indian SIs are going to play a huge role.
mm,
How are we going to engage with new applications? Is this new mobile phone always going to be the same, or the interface is going to be different?
mm.
Right? That is what generative AI is going to do, and therefore the skill gap, the skill talent is going to move towards that. And we've seen Indian SIs play a very, very important role there.
Mitesh, that's a very lovely conversation. So much detail into what really is happening at the intersection of artificial intelligence, compute, and of course, cloud architecture. And you're really at the center of it and in a position to explain a lot of it. A lot of learning for me personally, and of course, I hope it was useful for the viewers as well. We hope we can lean on your expertise going forward as well. As you said, the year for Agentic AI is here. I mean, it's now. So we look forward to more of these conversations. Thanks once again for joining us on this episode of The Frontier.